Hi, ArcfieldWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Thursday morning, March 10th. We'll focus in on the early weekend event. For several days now, this has looked like an extreme wind event to me for the mid-Atlantic region and the northeastern part of the nation, and unfortunately it continues to look that way. It looks like we'll have wind gusts of perhaps 50 to 60 miles per hour later Saturday into Saturday night in the mid-Atlantic region, the northeast U.S. This all associated with an incoming Arctic blast. A very strong cold frontal system will kind of be the focus area for the development of a strong low pressure system that will rapidly intensify as it moves along that frontal boundary zone from the southwest to the northeast, reaching northern New England later in the weekend as a very powerful storm, and the pressure gradient will become very tight between that departing low pressure system over northern New England by Saturday night and high pressure over the southern states. Tight pressure gradient will result in some very strong winds on the backside of the frontal system, northwesterly flow of air. Again, I anticipate 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts throughout the mid-Atlantic region of the northeast U.S. That kind of intensity certainly raises the possibility of some downed tree limbs and some power outages, unfortunately. In addition to the winds, and I want to emphasize, I think the winds are probably the biggest concern for most of the area, but snow will accumulate quite a bit as well across interior sections of the mid-Atlantic, of the northeast U.S., places like from West Virginia, far western Maryland, far western Virginia, up across central Pennsylvania, upstate New York, and interior New England. Certainly substantial snow in those areas, maybe 6 to 12 inches on average. Even some accumulating snow can make its way all the way down into the northern western suburbs of the I-95 corridor region. But I think in the immediate I-95 corridor region, the biggest concerns will be those extreme winds or very high winds later Saturday and Saturday night. Temperatures will fall sharply behind the frontal passage, probably during the morning on Saturday near the East Coast, and reaching highs in the day early in the morning in places like D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, and then dropping throughout the afternoon. We'll go through the Canadian model run from last night at 0Z and focus in on several of the factors involved in this coming high wind event, and again, some substantial snowfall for the interior sections of the northeastern part of the nation. First of all, let's take a look at the vorticity field. We talked the last couple of days about a phasing together here of a couple different waves of energy. Here we are, by the time we get to Friday evening, we're looking at areas of spin or rotation in the upper part of the atmosphere, about the mid-levels of the atmosphere, 500 millibar level, what we call vorticity centers. These areas typically translate to upward motion down at the surface level, and that's where clouds develop, precipitation develops, and low pressures form. And here we are, by the time we get to Friday evening, we have a wave of energy here, a vorticity max, up across the northern plains, the upper part of the Midwest, and a secondary feature here in the kind of the southern branch of the jet stream. These two systems will phase together enough to cause a rapid intensification of low pressure. Here we are now by Saturday midday, and notice kind of a phasing together of that northern system with the southern system, and you'll have a very rapidly intensifying low pressure area moves kind of right along the I-95 corridor region all the way up into northern New England, and by the time it reaches this area by Saturday night, it will be a powerful surface low pressure system. Let's go out a little bit farther in time. Here we are by Saturday evening, and then overnight Saturday night, and winds will remain strong right throughout the night, throughout the mid-Atlantic, throughout the northeast U.S. This is in fact the time period of most concern for 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts, a possible down tree limbs, and even some scattered power outages. It pushes off the northeastern seaboard by Sunday morning in terms of the upper air vorticity maxima, but it remains quite cold on Sunday with temperatures way below normal for this time of the year, generally confined to the 30s for highs, places like D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. Well, let's take a look at a couple of other features that will play a role in the high wind event that I expect to develop later Saturday night. First, we're looking up at the top part of the atmosphere, 250 way up there, upper level jet streak. This is as we begin the day on Thursday, but watch what happens here as we go to the end of the work week Friday. Very powerful upper level jet streak at 250 millibars here across the southern part of the nation, and associated with that northern branch we have a jet streak up across the southwestern part of Canada. So here is the situation as we get into Saturday midday. Very powerful upper level jet streak right along the eastern seaboard. This is 250 millibar levels, and these are some 140, 150, 160 knot winds here way at the top part of the atmosphere midday on Saturday. That will contribute to the rapid intensification of that surface low pressure system, and it certainly will play a role in the intense winds that I expect throughout the northeastern quadrant of the nation later Saturday into Saturday night. Well, in addition to the upper level winds, we have lower level winds that will become quite strong. Notice here throughout the day today, not much in terms of low level winds. We're looking at 850 millibars, a couple thousand feet off the surface of the earth here, and watch what happens as we go into the upcoming weekend. Look at this kind of explode in intensity down across the southeastern coastal region and all the way down throughout the southern part of the nation. These are 850 millibar winds that really intensify quite dramatically as they reach the coastal region here by midday on Saturday. And remember, at this time, surface low pressure will be moving right along the I-95 corridor region and rapidly intensify. So we have a phasing together of the upper level vorticity fields, a northern branch system with a southern branch system. We have very powerful winds in the high levels of the atmosphere, and we have strong winds even in the low levels of the atmosphere near the East Coast come midday on Saturday. Well, how does all this translate to the sensible weather at the surface? Let's take a look at the Canadian model run, again from 0Z last night, for the surface maps going forward. A couple of tranquil days here, by the way, in the mid-Atlantic, in the northeast U.S. on Thursday here and Friday, before all the activity on late Friday night, Saturday night. Here we go now, starting to move towards the weekend. Friday night, low pressure starting to form across the deep south. Notice, keep track of the millibars here, 10.3, 1003 millibars. And here comes the cold air, the Arctic air starting to move into the Midwest late tomorrow night. And 994 intensifying quite a bit here in that 6-hour period. This is early morning hours on Saturday. And at this particular time, the cold frontal system is right about in this region right here. So it's looks like a Saturday morning arrival for the I-95 corridor region of this Arctic blast. Again, high temperatures, places like D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, early in the day on Saturday. Then temperatures will drop sharply once that Arctic front blasts on through the region here. Now down to 982 millibars as of midday on Saturday. And again, significant snow in interior sections like central Pennsylvania, State College, for example, down to West Virginia, all the way up to upstate New York and interior New England. By the way, if you're a skier in the northern New England areas, you're going to get blasted by snow, places like Vermont, New Hampshire. Very good snowfall for the ski resorts. Let's now move forward here. Now down to 970 millibars here by Saturday evening, and just look at the pressure gradient, the difference here. 970 millibar low right here and a 1031 millibar high right here. So this pressure gradient between high pressure in the southern U.S. and this strong and still intensifying surface low pressure area by Saturday evening is the reason why we have these very tight pressure gradient. These black lines here represent lines of equal pressure. Winds blow clockwise around high pressure systems and counterclockwise around low pressure systems, and there's your wind flow. We'll have tremendous winds developing out of the northwest on the backside of that frontal system. Again, I expect wind gusts perhaps of 50 to 60 miles per hour, maybe even higher than that in some areas in the mid-Atlantic region, northeast U.S. Later Saturday night, And now, notice also the snow all the way down to the I-95 corridor region, and perhaps even making its way eventually all the way down to the coast. Can be some accumulations in the immediate I-95 corridor region, D.C. and Philly and New York City, especially in the northern and western suburbs along the I-95 corridor region. But the more substantial snow definitely will be in the interior sections, West Virginia, far western Maryland, far western Virginia, central Pennsylvania, upstate New York, and throughout interior New England, maybe 6 to 12 inches on average in those areas. Now let's move forward here. Just look at this tremendous, the tightness of these isobars here, now down to a 957 millibar low. This is 1 a.m. very early Sunday morning. Difference in pressure between this 1032 millibar high and the 957 millibar low will just cause some tremendous wind gusts, I fear, out of the northwest, and power outages certainly on the table. And those strong winds will continue into Sunday morning, and especially up across northern New England. They'll tend to relax as the day progresses on Sunday, but much colder than normal conditions. Again, highs confined to the 30s for the most part along the immediate I-95 corridor region on Sunday. There will be a warm-up next week, but we have a lot of weather to go through before we get to that calmer, milder weather pattern later next week. Again, high wind event coming for the entire northeastern quadrant of the nation later Saturday into Saturday night. Potential exists of 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts. That could cause some downed tree limbs and maybe some power outages later Saturday night. Snow also will accompany this incoming Arctic blast with some substantial accumulations interior sections, especially interior higher elevation locations, and maybe even some accumulating snow all the way down to the northern and western suburbs of the immediate I-95 corridor region. Stay tuned to arcfieldweather.com for updates later today and again on Friday. That's it for now. I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.